Hello, everyone, and welcome to our conversations on the future of work and leadership. I'm Elizabeth Varghese, and over the past few months, I've been speaking to New Yorkers to get their perspectives on how work and life are evolving and the meaning of leadership and resiliency in times of crisis. We have with us today Mary Chung. Mary works in the media and public relations space. She is the managing director at Lansons Intermarket, a global PR firm specializing in strategic communications and reputation management. Mary works with clients from all around the world, advising them on their communication strategies, thought leadership content, and media relations. As you can imagine, during this pandemic, it is even more crucial than ever that companies communicate with their customers, stakeholders, and employees, and keep them informed and make them feel connected. Thanks so much for joining us, Mary. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you to New York City?
Well, I'm originally from Toronto, Canada, and after college, I went to Japan, Nagasaki, Japan, for 3 years to teach English. And during that time, I decided I wanted to become a journalist. So I applied for Columbia University's Graduate School of Journalism, and that's how I came to New York. And my dream was to become a journalist, and I was a journalist for several years in New York. Before I moved to PR, I was a reporter for the Financial Times.
That's right. And what's been the favorite part of your job and what you've been, doing over the past few years?
Well, I think for me, I always say I'm kind of approaching the end of my career, the last decade of my career, as I turn 50 next year. I think mentoring is, for me, the most fulfilling part of my job. I love to pass on my knowledge and my skills to the younger generation of PR professionals. I think for me, when I came to New York in my 20s in 1997, I had fantastic mentors who opened a lot of doors, gave me great career advice, and also taught me about integrity, making smart choices, and how to perform as a compassionate person doing a professional job. And I really feel that it's necessary to still instill those kind of skills to the next generation.
And Mary, how have things changed as the pandemic has unfolded? What's been the impact of COVID on everything you're doing?
I have to say, knowledge-based workers like myself, where we can work, in a corporate environment, technology is the key. And for us, it's almost been seamless. For me, and I think my colleagues, we would all say that, there's no geographic boundary, time zones. We're working, we're servicing our clients, we're collaborating. We share everything. I think companies are going to reevaluate the whole traditional office space because it for us, and it's shown for a lot of companies, it's been very successful. I do think that companies will have to kind of reevaluate and put more investment in cybersecurity and data security, still maintain high regulatory standards and corporate policy. But as long as those things can be maintained and put more money in investments, I don't see why not. Why more companies just can't have, remote working environments for a greater portion of their employees.
What do you think are the skills and capabilities needed in this kind of a new environment that's much more seamless, much more technology driven?
Well, I think, definitely collaboration. I'm so lucky. I work with such a diverse group of talented individuals in London, in our London office and in New York office. So for me, with technology, it's just sharing. We were talking about putting together like a potential client. My colleague in London, he's a former BBC journalist. And so we're putting together a media training package. I mean, these kind of things. And he's got a completely different view on just from the broadcast side. And I was at the FT on a print side, but it's so seamless. And I do feel very lucky that for my kind of job, it really is just the key tool. And with it, we can do anything. And I guess more companies will have to just figure out how they can, utilize their technology to make the best of their resources. This pandemic has shown just how seamless it could be, even with time zones. I like this morning before you texted me, I was already up for 3 hours putting together a CNN interview for a client in Israel. And we had video conference, and we had the CEO from Connecticut, we had the CEO in Israel, and everything was done. And we didn't skip a beat.
So, so it sounds like really the pandemic has highlighted and shown that it can be done, and even more so. Now, as you reflect upon just the time it's been for all of us, right, balancing work and life, what do you think leadership really means in times of crises, in times like these?
I work with a lot of CEOs, and I think it's really important. And I've told this to my clients, that you have to connect.
Right.
I think a lot of employee stakeholders, they see their CEO in just an elevated position, but during these kind of crisis situations, you have to get your message out in a clear, direct manner, keep your employees informed, but also connect, and it's a time when you should share some personal anecdotes. Nothing is going right. Everybody's under stress. May is mental health month. And I think, all companies have to be aware this pandemic has taken a real toll on people's mental and emotional health. And I think, as far as leadership, they have to understand this is a situation that they're going to have to be dealing with for a long period of time. And so as far as, when I'm talking to CEOs, your messaging has to be on a level that's more personal than it's ever been.
Right. So really that need to connect is really critical.
Yes.
Leaders have to connect. They have to be empathetic. They have to show, share their personal perspective to really help employees see that, the face behind the role.
Exactly.
And Mary, when you think about ourselves as a community, as as an increasingly global community, anything that you think we should keep in mind as we navigate through this pandemic and what's beyond it?
Beyond, like with my clients and my colleagues, it was always professional, but now I'm always making sure I just check up on them on a personal level too. It can't be all about work anymore, and especially. I have the luxury. I live with my partner, and I have my daughter. I have a cat, and so I'm not isolating alone. Yeah. And through Zoom, you're not sure. You don't know what's going on. In a personal level with your colleagues and your clients. So, and even the reporters I deal with, I try to just on a personal level, just check up on people. I think it's really important because you want to be out there showing support. And it takes a few minutes to just text somebody and say, hey, how are you doing? And especially for people I know who are isolating by themselves. And I actually, the other day, I did just that to a friend who I knew was at home by himself. And he told me his father is ill in the hospital. And I think it was a good conversation. And this is a former colleague of mine. And so that's what I hope people are doing, just checking up on each other.
Staying connected and keeping in mind that people are all dealing with their own challenges.
Exactly.
As a parent,
yeah,
on Zoom and other things. Wonderful, thank Mary. That's really insightful. In closing, any message from a New Yorker?
Yeah, well, first, I just want to thank all the essential workers, like you and me. Like we have the luxury of being able to do what we love at home, and I think more than ever, it's the gratitude I feel for our healthcare workers, our first responders, mail carriers, grocery clerks, transportation drivers, everyone who has to go to work to keep this city running and keep us safe. And so I'm just very thankful. And the other thing I hope everyone is taking time for themselves. Like for me, the first few weeks of the lockdown, I was afraid to go out even with a mask. And I think, I'm a runner, you're a runner. That's something for me I love to do. I love to run. And for about 5 or 6 weeks, I didn't run. And this is something I enjoy so much that I did every day. So the last few weeks, I ventured out and I'm back running, and it's just shifted my mood so much, and I think everyone has to think about what is going to help them in this time of crisis to just shift their mood, make themselves a little more happy.
Right. Great. That's a very important message for all of us to keep in mind. Thank you so much, Mary. Really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Be well.